Welcome to Chapter 7, Section 1. In this chapter, we will be discussing keyword research, keyword mapping, and URL structure. So let's talk a bit about it all begins with words typed into a search box. Keyword research is one of the most important, valuable, and high-return activities in the search marketing field, and we've talked a bit about this earlier in the unit. Ranking for the right keywords can make or break your website. Through the detective work of puzzling out your market's keyword demand, you can not only learn which terms and phrases to target with SEO, but also learn more about your customers as a whole. It's not always about getting the visitors to your site, but about getting the right kind of visitors. Conversions. The usefulness of this intelligence cannot be overstated. With keyword research, you can predict shifts in demand, respond to changing market conditions, and produce the products, services, and content that web searchers are actively already seeking. In the history of marketing, there's never been such a low barrier to entry in understanding the motivations of consumers in virtually every industry. And what's cool about that is we can begin to discuss things like about what your keyword value is. How much is a keyword worth to your website? If you own an online shoe store, which we discussed earlier, do you make more sales from visitors searching for brown shoes or black boots? The keywords visitors type into search engines are often available to webmasters, and keyword research tools allow us to use this and find this information. However, these tools cannot show us directly how valuable it is to receive traffic from those searches. To understand the value of a keyword, we need to understand our own websites, make some hypotheses, test, and repeat. It's essentially the classic web marketing formula. So a basic process for assessing a keyword's value is to ask yourself a few different questions. First, is the keyword relevant to your website's content? Will searchers find what they're looking for on your site when they search using these keywords? Are they going to be happy with what they find? Will this traffic result in financial rewards or other organizational goals? If the answer to all of these is yes, by all means, proceed. And then we can move on to search for the term and phrase in the major search engines. Understanding which websites already rank for your keyword gives you valuable insight into the competition, and also how hard it will be to rank for the given term. Are there search advertisements running along the top and right-hand side of the organic search results? We covered this a little bit earlier, but typically many search ads mean a high-value keyword, and multiple search ads above the organic results often mean a highly lucrative and directly conversion-prone keyword. Using the data you've collected, determine the exact value of each keyword. For example, if your search ad generated 5,000 impressions, of which 100 visitors have come to your site and 3 have converted for a total profit, not revenue, profit of $300, then a single visit for that keyword is worth $3 to your business. Those 5,000 impressions in 24 hours could generate a click-through rate of between 18 to 36% with a number 1 ranking. And that would mean 9 to 1,800 visits per day at $3 each, or $1 to $2 million per year. So no wonder businesses love search marketing. You can really drill down into the value of a keyword and your expenditure over the long term. Going back to the online shoe store example we've been using throughout the unit, it would be great to rank number 1 for the keyword shoes. And we talked about this. Or would it? It's wonderful to deal with keywords that have 5,000 searches a day, or even 500 searches a day, but in reality, these popular search terms actually make up less than 30% of the searches performed on the web. The remaining 70% lie in what's called the long tail of search. The long tail contains hundreds of millions of unique searches that might be conducted a few times in any given day, but when you take them all together, they comprise the majority of the world's demand for information through the search engines. Another lesson that search marketers have learned is that the long tail keywords often convert better, which means money for businesses, because they catch people later in the buying conversion cycle. A person searching for shoes is probably browsing and not quite ready to buy. On the other hand, someone who searches for best price on Air Jordan size 12 is. Let's discuss some of the resources. Where do we get all this knowledge about keyword demand and keyword referrals? From research resources like these listed here. So we're going to talk a little bit about Google AdWords Keyword Planner, Google Insights for Search, Google Trends Keyword Demand Prediction, Microsoft Advertising Intelligence, which is just Google AdWords for Bing, And of course, a tool that I particularly like, Word Tracker's free basic keyword demand. So Google AdWords keyword tool is a common starting point for SEO keyword research. It not only suggests keywords and provides estimated search volume, but also predicts the cost of running paid campaigns for these terms. To determine search volume for a particular keyword, be sure to set the match type to exact and look under local monthly searches. Remember that these tend to represent total searches. Depending on your ranking and click-through rate, the actual number of visitors you achieve for these keywords will usually be much lower. So, what are your chances for success? In order to know which keywords to target, it's essential to not only understand the demand for a given term or phrase, but also the work required to achieve those rankings. So if a big box or a big brand takes up the top 10 results and you're just starting out, the uphill battle for rankings can take absolutely years of effort, and this is why it's essential to understand keywords. So let's discuss a little bit about keyword mapping. Anyone who owns a website and recognizes the opportunity to get visitors from Google organic search suspects the importance of keywords. But how do you use those keywords on your website to actually get traffic? Do you put them in the meta keywords? Use them over and over on your site? Do not do that. That is bad. It's been more than 15 years since simply using keywords on your website was the only way for search engines to understand the relevance of your website. It's no longer about just stuffing keywords all over your site, because search engines, believe it or not, have gotten much smarter than that. Google and Bing use hundreds of signals to try and decipher the rank the relevance of your website. They factor in what other people say about your site. They try to place your content in a graph of topics and entities and perform all sorts of semantic analysis. But keywords are still part of the foundation of how search engines understand your website. And using keywords effectively on your website will help you tell a better story to both your visitors and to search engines. And it will help communicate what searches your website is relevant for so that you can get more visitors from search engines. Here's how to use keywords on your website with what is known in the SEO industry as a keyword map. Number one, the end goal. Using keywords on your site isn't trying to trick Google or pander to Google for Google's sake. It's about matching the language on your site to the language that your customers use when they search for you. We do this to an extent in real life, but we don't always realize it because it's normal and natural. For example, a plumber that don't take out a billboard announcing that they will fix all your sillcocks. Instead, the plumber announces that they can fix all your outdoor faucets. It's the same service, different language. Keywords are simply how people search for your product or service. Your end goal is to help your customer find what they're looking for. And Google is just the intermediary between you and your customer. The goal of SEO and the effective use of keywords is to help Google understand your site. However, you have to keep in mind that Google is not stupid. It's going to catch any attempt to deceive or manipulate, and it's going to penalize you appropriately. Google is not a human, and it's not your customer. Google loves SEO when done well. Your goal with understanding on how to use keywords on your site is to help Google understand what your website and each page on your site is about so that customers searching through Google can find what they're looking for. Again, your goal is to help the person searching by helping the search engines, not trying to trick, spam, or manipulate the person searching by spamming the search engines. Number two, understand the concept. Search engines want to serve up relevant results with unique content to their customers. Your goal with your website is to provide the pages that Google wants to serve as those relevant results. This means several things in practice when you're deciding on how to use keywords on your website. First, you aren't using keywords on your website so much as you are using certain keywords on individual pages. Google is going to serve up individual pages in search results, which means you are ultimately optimizing individual pages. Your site will be optimized by optimizing individual pages. Second, instead of thinking of terms like individual keywords, think in terms of themes of keywords. A single page will be about a single topic, which then can be described with several keywords. When you have several pages about specific topics, they are all optimized for a theme of keywords, then your site as a whole is going to be more relevant for not just a single keyword, but a full range of keywords. That is all abstract. Here's an example in working motion. Suppose you want to build a website that ranks for dining room furniture. It's not just enough to just focus on dining room furniture. You can't prove your website's relevance by just using dining room furniture everywhere. It's not going to work for you. You have to be the site that you would rank if you were trying to find the most relevant dining room furniture site on the internet. A site like that would not just have a page, but maybe the home page would. that talks about dining room furniture in general, but I would also expect it to have a page about dining room chairs and dining room tables. It would probably have pages about how to decorate a dining room. It might have pages about table centerpieces and rugs and placemats and maybe hutches. All your keywords work together to tell the full story of your site. What is it about? How is it relevant? You want to use a single keyword theme per page to help Google understand exactly what each page is about and how it relates to the whole. Keep that in mind while you are trying to fit keywords into your site together. Finally, make your map. Once you have the concept and your end goals in place, you can start mapping the keywords to pages. This step is important because it will help you not duplicate keyword themes, and it will help you see all your site's parts, architecture, and how they work together to create your site. So, I typically create my maps in Google Spreadsheets or Excel. This is Google Spreadsheets. You'll be recreating your website's pages on rows and using columns for headers. In the far left column, put each page's name. I usually use multiple columns to create a hierarchy of pages with each subpage indented by one column. So you can do that by just going ahead and highlighting the column that you want it to go to. So there's the page name. We're keeping this pretty simple and just for sake, there's not going to be any subpages on this example. But if you do have subpages, just highlight, right click, insert one left, at least on Google Spreadsheets. And you can go ahead and do that and put your subpages right in that column there. For this example, we don't have any, so we're going to keep it simple with just the URL and page name. In the far left column, put each page's name. In the next column over, put the page's URL so you know exactly what page you're referring to. You may catch a bit of content that doesn't make sense or can be consolidated, so this is important. You'll then have a column for your keywords, which you'll be assigning to each page. I also will eventually put a final column where I can put the local search volume numbers given by Google by using the Google AdWords account under Keyword Planner. If you're in a very competitive industry, then I'd also put an additional column with some metric on how to judge a keyword's competitiveness or value. For the purposes of this one, I have put them into primary, secondary, and so I know which one to focus for each page and which one just to fit in when it fits organically. The goal of these last two columns is to just allow you to quickly judge a keyword's value when you start to actually use your keyword map, i.e. more volume equals more value typically, which has to be balanced against competitiveness. So that brings us to define your page's relevance and value. Now that you have all the pages of your site in front of you, you can start to look at them individually and then as a whole. Before you start researching keywords for each page, define what questions each page answers and what topics it's relevant for. Does the page really help anyone? Play Jeopardy with your pages. Your pages are the answer and you have to write the question. This process does not have to be tedious or time-consuming. Instead, it's a check to make sure that you are providing the value that you think you are providing so that you don't approach keyword research with preconceived notions or rose-tinted glasses. Again, be the result that Google would want to rank. Are your pages helping people find what they are looking for? Make sure you do your keyword research. The short version is that you'll start brainstorming keywords that people would use to search for your site. Use the Google Keyword tool, which is the Google Keyword Planner under AdWords, and other lesser known tools to find keywords we're targeting. If your website has been around for a while, you can also use the search queries report in Google Webmaster Tools to see how. Google currently understands your web pages. So if you have a Webmaster Tools account set up, that's great. We'll go over on how to do that later on in the chapter. But if you do, go to Google Webmaster Tools, search traffic, click on search queries, top pages, and then click the drop down of each page. You'll see a list of keywords that the page is currently relevant for. Even after you've got your full list of keywords to target and their search volumes from the Keyword Planner, the key part of this step is to bucket them into keyword themes. For example, if you run a baseball site, a theme of keywords might consist of youth baseball bats, little league bats, junior league baseball bats, and bats for little league. These keywords all revolve around the same theme and allow you to write content that is natural, not spammy, and also clearly indicates how your page is relevant to a certain keyword or topic. So next, that takes us to assign keywords to pages. At this step, you'll take your keyword themes, look at your notes about what pages are relevant for what topics, and then place your keywords into the keyword column of the map you created earlier. place the keywords in descending order based on search volume seen in Keyword Planner or some other gauge of priority so you can quickly judge which keywords represent a bigger opportunity. That on mine is where the primary secondary comes into play. You can target as many keywords as you want to a page, but keep in mind that you'll actually have to use the keyword to target it. That said, any list beyond 6 or 7 on a page can get kind of crazy and unwieldy, and any list with only 1 or 2 can get spammy using the same keyword over and over. Make sure you do quality assurance once you have your keyword map completed. Look at the keywords assigned to each page. If someone unfamiliar with your website could just see those keywords, could they tell you exactly what each page is about? Could you give someone your keyword map and then ask them to write content about it? For example, do all the keywords associated with each page go with each other? Should you break up pages? Are there any themes that are very similar? Are they similar enough to merge the pages? Often simply taking the time to map your website will help you see the bigger picture of your website and how you can make it easier to understand for both users and the search engines. Finally, create an on-deck map and move to creating metadata. In the American sport of baseball, there's a term for a person who isn't playing yet, but is the next batter up. The on-deck hitter. He's in the game, but he's not yet playing. During your keyword research, you'll probably find plenty of keywords that are related to it, but don't quite fit any page currently on your site. Do not delete them. Keep them. Instead, go ahead and put them in a themed bucket and designate them as your on-deck keywords. They don't have a role in your site as is. However, they are keywords that should be used for any future pages or blog posts on your site. Now that you have your keyword map complete and a list of how you're going to use the keywords, it's time to actually use them on your website. And this is where the metadata comes in. That's the end of section 1. In section 2, we'll talk about how to pick a domain name, DreamHost, and WordPress and how they work together, installing a WordPress theme, and configuring WordPress in general. Thanks for joining us.